2.7 billion gone just like that. Stellantis, one of the biggest car makers in the world, has just hit a massive bump in the road. The CEO didn't sugarcoat anything when announcing the shocking loss, and now the whole industry is watching closely. What could have caused such a huge drop in just one quarter? Some say rising costs, others blame supply chain mess or slowing sales, but one thing's clear: this isn't just a small hiccup. With factories cutting back, workers worried, and investors shaking their heads, is this just the start of something even bigger? Trouble at the top. A major storm has hit Stellantis, one of the biggest car companies in the world. After reporting a massive 2.7 billion loss, the CEO has stepped down. The news has shocked many in the auto industry. What once seemed like a strong, stable company is now struggling to stay afloat. Everything began falling apart when problems between the company and its dealerships became public. Dealerships started complaining about low sales, rising costs, and lack of support. On the other hand, the CEO blamed the dealerships. The arguments were made openly, causing even more damage to the company's image. Finally, the CEO left. Even though the official word was that he stepped down, many insiders believe he was actually fired. Huge financial losses. Soon after the CEO's exit, Stellantis shared its financial report. It showed a shocking 2.7 billion loss in the first half of the year. The company blamed restructuring costs and U.S. tariffs, but only 340 million of that total was caused by tariffs. That means around 2.4 billion came from other problems like poor planning, bad sales, and falling demand.
Emotionally, it's very hard because there's a lot of uncertainty. I mean, we got 3,000 members in that Brampton assembly plant, 1,000 plus members that supply that plant and the parts supplier base.
North America saw a 25% drop in vehicle shipments during the second quarter. This is a huge drop and signals serious problems. Deliveries to dealers, distributors, and retail customers were all down. Even vans, which once sold well in Europe, are now seeing weak demand. Experts believe that Stellantis failed to update some of its most popular car models. This includes brands like Dodge and Chrysler. While rivals introduced new, exciting models, Stellantis stuck with outdated designs. As a result, thousands of unsold vehicles are now sitting in dealerships and warehouses. These unsold cars are just collecting dust. In a time when the world is moving towards electric vehicles, Stellantis seems to be lagging behind. The company did launch a hybrid Fiat 500 in Europe at around 17.0. However, for its size and features, it's still seen as expensive. On the bright side, Stellantis has a joint venture with Leapmotor to sell affordable electric cars in Europe and other places outside China. This is one of the few hopeful areas in their strategy. The company also canceled several big plans. This includes a hydrogen fuel cell project. Stellantis had earlier promised to build a battery factory in Italy. That plan was also dropped. Now, the company still owes the Italian government in 400 million for that project. Struggles in the U.S. market. Stellantis's revenue fell from 85 billion in the first half of 2024 to 74 billion in the first half of 2025. That's a fall of nearly 11 billion. At the same time, global vehicle shipments went down by 6%. The company burned through 2.5 billion in cash just in the first half of the year. Last year, Stellantis sold about 1.2 million vehicles in the US. More than 40% of these came from imports, mostly from Mexico and Canada. After tariffs were introduced, Stellantis had to cut back on vehicle imports. It also had to reduce production and even cut jobs. The US market has now become a major challenge. In May, Antonio Filosa was appointed as the new CEO. He admitted that the first half of 2025 had been extremely tough. He mentioned external problems like tariffs, exchange rate changes, and global economic conditions. Still, he tried to stay positive by pointing out new product launches and the decision to cut underperforming programs.
Sales are down. They've been down considerably over the last year. They're down projected to be down another 25% in North America this half. which is, absolutely terrible for an automaker, especially Stellantis, which lives on volume. They need to sell these vehicles, but at the moment, they're sitting on dealer lots.
Many industry analysts believe that Stellantis priced itself out of the US market even before the tariffs hit. Popular models became too expensive and failed to attract buyers. Chrysler, for example, has lost much of its appeal. Some people even suggest that the brand should be given away to someone else who can do a better job with it. Some Stellantis brands have already gone bankrupt in China. This shows how deep the company's problems really are. China is a tough market, but failure there sends a bad message to the rest of the world. Other global automakers are also struggling, but Stellantis seems to be falling faster.
The industry's changing fast. We know the workplace is evolving very quickly. We didn't want to lock ourselves into a long-term agreement. It's a one-year agreement so we can address the issues in the short term and then get back to the bargaining table in due course to fix the problems that are going to arise over the course of the next year.
There are talks that Stellantis might sell off some of its underperforming brands. Maserati is one such brand, as it continues to lose money and has very few buyers. Alfa Romeo is another brand that's going nowhere. While these brands still have some value, especially in the eyes of Chinese companies, it seems likely they will be sold soon. Some analysts feel the damage is already too big. The company is being disrupted by competitors who offer better technology and cheaper cars. Some of these rivals are even selling at a loss just to push Stellantis out. When a company starts shrinking like this, it becomes very hard to recover. Instead of focusing on future-ready technologies, Stellantis kept investing in large gasoline-powered cars, especially in the US. This strategy now seems outdated. Customers are moving towards electric and hybrid vehicles. Even the hybrid models introduced by Stellantis are not exciting enough to boost sales. Missed emissions targets. New emissions regulations in the US require better fuel efficiency. Stellantis has struggled to meet these standards. The company suspended its profit forecast for 2025, saying the future was too uncertain. That alone was a big red flag for investors. JP Morgan analysts noted that the recent results show Stellantis is only in the early stages of making changes. However, those changes may not be enough. Some of Stellantis's brands have already collapsed in China. If the same happens in Europe or North America, things could get worse fast. For now, the company is trying to cut losses and focus on a few profitable areas. But the hole is deep, losing $2.7 billion in just 6 months, burning $2.5 billion in cash, and losing 1/4 of North American sales are all signs that time is running out. Stellantis once controlled some of the most iconic car brands in the world, but poor decisions, weak strategies, public fights, and lack of innovation have pushed the company into crisis. The road ahead looks tough. If major changes aren't made soon, the company may be forced to shrink even more, sell key assets, or even face bankruptcy in some markets. The auto industry is moving fast, and Stellantis risks being left far behind. And that wraps it up for now. Tap that subscribe button, there's more coming that's just as wild. Thanks for watching.